This is St John's Beacon in Liverpool, and as well as being a spectacular landmark that can be seen from across Liverpool, you can go up to the top and observe the amazing views. Of course, this is Ringway Manchester, so while I'm going to tell you a little bit about the tower itself, we're really more interested in this jam-packed radio site hiding up on the roof. Now, this was a tough one. I usually manage to ID most, if not all, of the antennas on a particular structure in these videos with a high degree of accuracy, and if I do make the odd mistake, then you guys help clear things up. St John's Beacon was hard, and I've managed to ID most of what's up here with virtually no source material, so if I've made a mistake, then let me know, and if you can provide information on what the things I couldn't identify do, then let me know too. St John's Beacon is also known as Radio City Tower, and I'll refer to it as this throughout the video, as opposed to HIT's Radio Tower, as it became on April the 7th of this year, due to Bauer's insatiable appetite for eating up local radio stations. It was quite an important and urgent transmitter site on my list, because I imagine it won't be long before this beautiful Radio City signage gets replaced. Designed by James A. Roberts Associates, St John's Beacon was constructed in 1969 and opened by Queen Elizabeth II. It's 138 metres or 453 feet tall and was rightfully listed as a Grade 2 protected structure in November 2020. Amazingly, there was a luxury 5-star revolving restaurant at the top of the tower, and the roof was used as an observation platform. The original restaurant closed in 1979 for health and safety issues, something to do with fire regulations, and it remained closed for a number of years before reopening in the early 1980s with a reduced customer capacity and additional fire prevention measures. The restaurant was eventually refitted as a Buck Rogers space-themed restaurant in 1983, but a lack of business led to the closure of both the restaurant and the observation deck. How this place saw a lack of business, I'll never know. Anyway, despite its obvious beauty, it remained derelict for many years and was labelled an eyesore by locals. However, in 1999, EMAP Group began to refurbish the tower to house Radio City and Magic 1548, along with their studios and offices. With work completed by 2000 at a cost of £5 million, and under the additional name of Radio City Tower, St John's Beacon reopened as a transmitter site. The outdoor observation deck was turned into a second floor for offices, with the studios on the lower floor, which was previously the restaurant. The original revolving structure was left in place during the refurbishment, but fixings were added to lock everything into position. I'm sure you've guessed by now that this place is open to the public. In 2010, the first floor was opened up as a viewing platform, and it's well worth a visit. It costs just £8 to go in, and you can spend as long as you like gazing out across the spectacular views. I got here for the 11 AM opening time on a Sunday before it got busy. You can pre-book tickets online or just turn up. There's 558 stairs to the top, but don't worry, there's 2 lifts which reach the top in 30 seconds. The tower is known to sway in heavy winds, but this is a deliberate feature built into many tall buildings, and fortunately on the day I visited, the weather was still. The views up here are great. You can see Anfield Stadium, out to the Port of Liverpool, Liverpool Lime Street Station, both cathedrals although the sun was in the wrong spot, Camel Laird Shipyard, the docks, the Liver Building, and I'm sure you can see the list goes on. I was lucky enough to catch Stena Edda heading out of the Mersey towards the sea, bound for Belfast, with around 1,000 passengers, 120 cars and 210 freight vehicles on board, but as I was watching, another vessel caught my eye. This is Snowdrop, an old Mersey ferry still in operation up and down the River Mersey. Originally called the Woodchurch, it was built for the Birkenhead Corporation in 1959 and delivered from Dartmouth in Devon in 1960. The Woodchurch remained in service until 1980, when it was laid up due to financial reasons in Morpeth Dock. During this time, the boat was stripped of many parts in order to keep others running, and eventually put up for sale. No buyer was found, and in a turn of luck, in 1983, it was repainted, given a complete overhaul, and returned to passenger service. 1989 saw it removed from service again to undergo extensive refurbishment, returning to work again in July of 1990. Perhaps its biggest overhaul took place in 2003 when it received new engines, a new funnel, and a new name, Snowdrop. It was given its new Dazzle livery in 2015, a modern spin on the Dazzle camouflage used in the First World War by ships as a defence against U-boat attacks, and today you can ride up and down the Mersey on it for under £13 for an hour's trip, something I intend to do in the near future. Anyway, back to Radio City Tower and the radio that takes place from here. I've annotated a photograph of the roof and will go round in clockwise order. I'll tell you everything I've managed to more or less confirm, but you'll notice I miss a few things out, mainly microwave links and folded dipoles, but I'll clear that up at the end. So at the top, the first of 3 panels operated by Metronet, a high-speed internet service provider, followed by an NTL 600mm microwave link pointing to 57 degrees. Some microwave links on this tower are DAB feeds from other places, so this one is a possibility. Then there's a standard VHF receive antenna for television and FM radio. Then there's a second Metronet panel, an air vent and a weather station in the centre of this metal structure. There's also aircraft warning lights on the tower, and then an NTL 1200mm dish pointing to 188 degrees. What this does I can't be certain, but it makes sense that this would be a DAB feed. Moving round towards the bottom is an unidentified 600mm microwave link, again possibly a DAB feed from somewhere, and then the first of our larger structures, what I believe to be the national DAB antenna. It's a 4-stack dipole that radiates national DAB multiplexes BBC Channel 12B and Digital 1 Channel 11D, both serving Liverpool and the Wirral at 1 kilowatt. Now comes the first mystery that you may be able to help with. There's another large multiplex up here, and it only makes sense that this is the antenna that's radiating it. The multiplex is Liverpool DAB on channel 10C at 600 watts, serving Liverpool and the Wirral. It definitely comes from Radio City Tower, but I can't find any information anywhere that indicates that this antenna isn't used for both the national multiplexes and the Liverpool multiplex. If anyone knows, then let us know. Moving on, we come to a VHF aircraft data link, used for sending information between aircraft and ground stations, and slightly out of order on the diagram, a National Grid wireless 600mm microwave link that points over to Morley Park transmitter in North Wales. This is related to the next DAB multiplex we'll come to in a second. Over on this side I've noted a coax feeder tube, and this is what it looks like from the inside of the tower. And also another set of aircraft warning lights. Our second DAB multiplex is the Muxco North East Wales and West Cheshire DAB multiplex on channel 10D. It's radiated from this double-stacked dipole array at 1.5 kilowatts, serving Liverpool and the Wirral. When linked with the 2 other transmitters in the network, it has a considerable footprint, as you can see from this map. Now we come to the Liverpool small-scale DAB multiplex, a low-powered service radiating from this cardioid array. Known as Liverpool SSDAB, it transmits on channel 7D at 100 watts, serving Liverpool and the North East Wirral area. Finally, there's another Metronet panel and a roof access hatch, which you can also see in this photograph from the inside. As for everything I've not covered, there's links up here used by Blue Wave Communications, Bitstream Broadcast, Internexus Networks and Metronet. There'll likely be Council CCTV and data links up here too. The verticals may be old Fleetcom repeater setups from days gone by, and some of these unidentified folded dipoles may be part of the marine network over this way. I just can't find any source material for this stuff, and finding information on the things I've already covered was hard enough, so maybe someone viewing can help fill in the gaps. In my last video, I told you how sad it makes me seeing the ever-quickening death of AM radio across the UK, and another thing that bothers me just as much is the amalgamation of local radio into the big companies. In my opinion, it sucks the life and soul out of local radio, and has made it something I no longer listen to. I'm sure many of you will agree. Despite being a base for Radio City, broadcasts of this and Radio City Talk actually came from a transmitter at Allerton Park, not far away. Radio City Talk ceased broadcasting on the 31st of May 2020 after it was deemed not financially viable due to low listening figures, and Radio City was rebranded as Hits Radio Liverpool on the 17th of April 2024. St John's Beacon now houses the studios and offices for the regional programming of Hits Radio Liverpool and Hits Radio Lancashire, as well as the national weekday breakfast show for Greatest Hits Radio, which comes from this room before the tower opens to the public. During the refurbishment of the tower, this beautiful Radio City 96.7 lettering was added and illuminated yellow at night. Following the rebranding of Radio City as Hits Radio, the signage is no longer illuminated, and you can expect it to be removed at some point in the future.